What blue states can learn from the Texas book list. That's the headline of a guest essay by James Traub in the New York Times. Earlier this summer, the Texas State Board of Education approved a mandatory reading list for public school students. The list includes fairy tales and nursery rhymes for little children, stories of America's founders and Aesop's fables for elementary schoolers, poems by Rudyard Kipling and Langston Hughes for middle schoolers, Shakespeare's plays and Dante's Inferno for high schoolers, and passages or stories from the Bible for every grade save kindergarten. In our highly decentralized educational system, states don't usually tell teachers what books to assign. The model Texas will begin implementing in 2030 makes it an outlier. Yet almost all of the reaction to the list, both pro and con, has centered on the Bible. The Freedom from Religion Foundation, an organization that promotes strict separation of church and state, described the list as a brazen promotion of religious doctrine that threatens to convert public schools into Sunday schools. Traub argues this is a wild overreaction to what is, after all, a tiny fraction of the required readings. What's worse, he says, the whole debate obscures the pedagogical radicalism of what Texas has done in issuing a mandatory reading list full of classic works at all. Traub spent the 2023-24 academic year in public schools across the country researching a book on civic education. He was braced for the culture war in the classroom, conservative versions of history in red states, progressive versions in blue ones. And he did see that. But what he had not expected to find was that the pedagogical and curricular problems in American schools are more damaging than the political ones. Most students, even in well-regarded high schools, knew precious little about American history and government and had only a hazy sense of chronology. Teachers in English classes complained that students would not read whole novels, and so they didn't assign them. There are many culprits for this failure, including children's addiction to social media. But the root of the problem, Traub writes, lies in the way we think about teaching and learning. The view that has dominated education schools for several generations holds that students learn by mastering general critical thinking skills that can be applied across disciplines and occasions. If you learn to find the main idea, you can navigate through texts. If you can recognize and articulate perspectives, you can make sense of a primary document in history. This doctrine makes content, that is, the specific material from which these skills derive, a secondary consideration. Combined with children's real or apparent resistance to struggling with difficult material, that leads many teachers to choose works that pose the fewest challenges or have the most surface appeal, short excerpts from classics or young adult novels about contemporary issues. Traub suggests that blue states, which often pride themselves on educational excellence, could learn from Texas's willingness to mandate a substantive, common curriculum. The Texas list, whatever one thinks of its Bible inclusions, represents a commitment to shared cultural literacy that many blue states have abandoned in favor of skills-based approaches that leave students ignorant of the very heritage they need to understand. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, and this has been a look at what blue states might learn from the Texas book list.